Good morning. Welcome to today's lesson number 7 on freedom of forgiveness. As we start today, I'm going to invite you to think about a situation, and a small one for practice would be good. So think about a small issue that you would like to forgive yourself. Again, we're going to forgive ourselves first. And something as simple as, when was the last time you felt bad for doing something not quite right? Maybe even being a little harsh and saying, hey, that was stupid, or I'm such an idiot. You know, we say that with so much light, but that's what we hear also. So think about what you'd like to forgive yourself about today, and again, pick something small. What are the benefits of forgiveness, and why should we forgive? And forgiveness can free our life. So the analogy that I'd like to walk you through is, I've heard that life can be compared to going down a river or being on the river. And sometimes we can get caught. We can get, either by choice or not by choice, we can get caught on rocks, we can get pinned, we can get hung up on branches that may be sticking into the river, and sometimes the branches, can be high up so we can see and we can avoid it, or sometimes it's down low and we didn't know it was there. Maybe something's underneath might be grabbing you as well. And being pinned by rocks, the rock can be a big rock, obvious, or a rock can be small. And sometimes we can also be pushed up against a rock and just held there by the rock. Sometimes we may actually hang on to a rock, thinking that this rock is going to keep us safe from going down the river. So many ways of how we hang on to situations. And what do we hang on for? What do we need to forgive? Some of the experiences of human drama. Okay, and another thing to keep in mind is it's a human drama. So it's something we all experience, all right? And so we have, me included, have experienced the betrayal, feeling betrayed, feeling disappointed, someone broken our trust, being hurt, being offended, having our hearts broken, or loss, experiencing loss and regret. I mean, those are just some of things we can forgive and set our hearts free. And when we do, then we can live our life fully and with a wise heart. So, you can go back onto the river, in the middle of the river where it's safe, and you can enjoy and coast on the river, right? And be able to lean back and look at the beautiful scenery along the banks. So I'm going to tell you a story about a mother. And this was told from the story of a man. His name was Robert Brown, and he was an African American who worked for the United States Department in India. And then he quit that job to go run a rehabilitation program for juveniles offenders in Washington, D.C. So he worked with mostly gang members who had committed homicide. One particular young man was 14 years old who was in the program, and he was recently accused of killing someone. What he had done was he had shot and killed an innocent teenage boy just to prove himself to the game. At the trial, the mother of the young boy who was killed was present, and she was silent through the trial. Upon hearing the verdict, she stood up and slowly and stared directly at the boy and stated, "I am going to kill you." Then the young man was taken away to serve several years in the juvenile facility. After the first year, the mother of the slain child went to visit his killer. He'd had no other visitors to the facility, and for a time they talked, and when she left, she gave him some money for cigarettes. Then gradually she started to visit him more regularly, bringing food and small gifts. Near the end of his 3-year term, she asked him, "What are you going to be doing when you got out?" He was uncertain, so she offered to set him up with a job at a friend's company. Then she inquired where would he live, and since he had no family to return to, she offered him temporary use of the square room in her house, the spare room in her home. For 8 months, he had lived there, ate her food, worked at the job. Then one evening, she called him into the living room to talk. She sat across from him and waited. Then she started. "Do you remember in the courtroom when I said I was going to kill you?" "I sure do," he replied. "I did not want a boy who could kill my son for no reason to remain alive on this earth. I wanted him to die. That's why I started to visit you and bring you things. That's why I got you the job and let you live in my home. That's how I set about changing you. And that old boy, he's gone. Now I want to ask you, since my son is gone and that killer is gone, if you'll stay here, I've got room. I'd like to adopt you, if you'll let me." And she became the mother of her son's killer, the mother he never had. You know, it is possible to forgive the unforgivable, and that woman showed us that it is possible, and I'm sure there's many other stories of such hardship. And so I'm going to talk about how you can, there's a few steps on how you can forgive. Now this is just, a few steps, simple processes, and they're just words, and these words require courage, requires patience, requires your willingness and presence to be with it, and most of all, a lot of kindness, and knowing that it's going to be a process, not a one-time thing, and that at each level, you may get triggered or you may get caught, and just again that recognition and awareness and coming back to the process, and then kind of starting it again. If you look at a rose or a flower, taking a petal off at a time on the flower to get to the very center. So it's a process, and it's done in layers, and there's no particular correct steps either. So give yourself a lot of freedom to exercise this. So the first one is to acknowledge what it is that you need to forgive. Then allow it. Then have compassion. And through that, you can get to the understanding, seeing it for what it is. And then you can let that go. And then you can be, letting things be as they are. And so again, these steps can, zigzag about. Okay? And the challenge to forgiveness can be just like when we're on the river and we're hanging on to this rock. Well, we think that it might be saving us in some way, or maybe you just need to take a break, take a rest, and you're not ready to deal with letting it go. And so they can be false, or they can be real, and something you are not ready to forgive either, because you want to be with this. You need to be with it at this moment. Okay. And so holding it with love and understanding, with patience and with trust. And so let's get right to the process. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you haven't yet. Sitting in a comfortable position, maybe even laying down if you'd like to. Breathing in, breathing out, relaxing your tension body. You're safe, it's okay. You're in a safe space. I put my hand to my heart a lot, and I invite you to do the same. There's just something about feeling that warmth, that realness over your heart. Breathing into your heart area. And now recall an instance, a small instance in the past where you may have been wronged, may feel offended or hurt in some small ways. Or you think you made somebody felt hurt, or maybe even a little sad. Letting your breath be natural and easy. And now being aware of your heart, let yourself feel all the barriers that you have erected and the emotions that you have carried, because you have not forgotten nor forgiven yourself, nor others. Let yourself feel the pain of keeping your heart closed. Then breathing softly, begin asking and extending forgiveness, reciting the following words, and letting the images and feelings that come up grow deeper as you repeat them. There are many ways that I have hurt and harmed others, have betrayed or abandoned them, caused them suffering, knowingly or unknowingly, out of my pain, fear, anger, and confusion. Let yourself remember and visualize the ways you may have hurt others. See and feel the pain that you have caused out of your own fear and confusion. Become your own sorrow and feel your regret. Sense that finally you can release this burden and ask for forgiveness. Picture one or more memory that still burdens your heart, and then one at a time. To the person, repeat, in the ways that I have hurt you out of my fear, pain, anger and confusion, I ask your forgiveness. I ask your forgiveness. May I be forgiven. Just as I have harmed others, there are many ways that I have hurt and harmed myself. I have betrayed or abandoned myself many times in thought, word, or deed, knowingly and unknowingly. Feel your own precious body and life. Let yourself see the ways you have hurt or harmed yourself. Picture them. Remember them. Feel the sorrow that you have carried from this, and sense that you can release these burdens. Extending forgiveness one by one, repeating to yourself, for the ways that I have hurt myself through action or inaction, out of fear, pain, and confusion, I now extend a full and heartfelt forgiveness. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. Many ways that I have been harmed by others, betrayed, abused, or abandoned, knowingly or unknowingly, in thought, word, or deed. Let yourself feel and let yourself picture and remember these many ways. Feel the sorrow that you have carried from this past and sense that you can release this burden of pain by extending forgiveness whenever your heart is ready. Now say to yourself, I now remember the one or many of the ways others have hurt or harmed me, wounded me, out of their fear, pain, confusion, and anger. I have carried this pain in my heart too long. To the extent that I am ready, I offer you forgiveness. To those who have caused me harm, I offer my forgiveness. I forgive you. Yourself gently repeat these three directions for forgiveness until you feel a release in your heart. For some great pains, you may not feel a release, but only the burden and the anguish or anger that you have held. Touch this softly and be forgiving of yourself for not being ready to let go or to move on. Forgiveness cannot be forced. It cannot be artificial. you can simply set the intention to forgive, continuing to practice and let the words and images work gradually in their own way. In time, you can make the forgiveness meditation a regular part of your life, and letting go of the past and opening your heart to each new moment with a wise, loving kindness. You know, like the caterpillar ready to come out of the cocoon, it has to consume itself. It is destroyed. The worm is destroyed, right? The caterpillar, before it can turn into a butterfly. And if you were to hurry that process, both would be gone. And so hold that with such tenderness, you know, with that loving kindness. If you can imagine just cradling that pain, that anguish, that burden that you've been carrying, small or large, just surrounding it with your loving arms, that this too you can hold for now. And when you're ready, you can let that go. So everything has its own timing. So do you, and so do I. This is such a heavy and a beautiful practice. I invite you to revisit this meditation as often as you need or want. And I am grateful to be on this journey with you. And before we part, let's hold our own hearts and all the people who set the intention for forgiveness with little things and with great unforgivable things. That in every human life on this planet, we all carry that. Some of it we see, some of it we don't, but everybody has something, small and big. And as we hold our own hearts, we hold the collective heart of humanity. Repeating those comforting words of, I forgive myself. I forgive others. Or that I am open to the forgiveness of others, and I am open to forgiving myself. And like a wounded child, tend to that pain. There, it's okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And yes, we will all be okay. Holding that grief and that sadness, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? That the heart quivers, feeling the beauty and the rawness of our hearts when we can open and hold both love and pain together. It is so beautiful, and that's what life is. It is beautiful and raw, just like nature. And know that you can hold both, and that we can hold both together in such beauty that you all are, that we all are. So much gratitude for your courage in doing this work. Daphne's out, and I'll see you next time. If you would also like to share your experience today in the comment section, then others can be a witness for you, and as we share our journey, it opens up and help others feel safe too. So feel free to share in the comments. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.